What's up, folks? MC is in the house. My name is Justin Garcia. You guys know that. And on the show with me right now, I have white boy Patrick Kelly.
What's up?
And welcome to episode 66 of Pressure Project Radio. ThePressureProject.com is our website. Info at ThePressureProject.com is our contact email. And TheWarriorProject.com is our membership site. Check it out. All right, so another episode. White Boy Pat, we got a couple of guys that joined for the year this week, but there's only one who is going to be mentioned on the show. Why don't you give him a shout out?
Matthew.
That's so weird. So when you guys join, you know that you have the option, or you join for the year, you have the option of signing up, or rather getting a shout out of your full name, your first name, or none at all. So that's why that is just awkward when it's just one guy and his first name. But it is what it is. So we got a couple things to talk about today. I'm getting some pictures up that we could use.
MC, I have a question for you. I forgot to mention this. Do you have the ability to make the gay, have you seen that yet?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So on Facebook, they added a new symbol, which is like a gay flag. Instead of a thumbs up or a heart. I can't do it.
Rainbow thing?
Yeah, the rainbow thing. I can't do it.
I hate that gays we're given the rainbow.
Like you have to be gay on your post to get the rainbow?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about a much bigger topic. That the gays were given the rainbow.
Rainbow. Got it.
Like the rainbow is there, and it's for the gays now. Like there's no trademark issues. Like isn't there some deity who owns the rainbow?
The Rainbow Bridge.
How did the gays get the rainbow? I think it's bullshit.
It says you have to go like the gay Facebook page, and then you can get the gay rainbow. I didn't know that.
All right, I see the comments are popping up now. What's up, Big Brian? He says you have to go to the LGBT Facebook page. Don't ask me how I know.
But that's awesome because I think it's people could use it ironically, that's gay. Right. Instead of a thumbs up, that's the new thumbs down. It's that post is gay.
Yeah, that technically is the first thumbs down for Facebook.
Yeah, they don't know that though, but it is.
Well, don't say it out loud. So Joshua Long, he says, I refuse to like the page, so I have no rainbow. I will not capitulate.
I don't have the rainbow either. Look, there's rainbows that are coming up on the feed. See them?
That's hysterical.
Oh,
yeah. I'm not a big fan of the fact that there wasn't even a fight. I want to keep the rainbow. The rainbow should belong to us. I am one of those, I like watching fucking sunsets and, not like you, the fucking robot who doesn't.
I love sunsets. I like sunrises better.
Sunrises, okay, sunrise. But rainbows is in that same fucking category.
Well, the original rainbow is the Ark of the Covenant, where God said, "We're not going to kill you anymore." So there's the rainbow, and you're safe.
That was not the original rainbow, Pat. I don't know what they told you.
From the Bible. That's the rainbow. He said, look, I made a rainbow.
Not just act like that is history.
That's facts. I don't know. The Bible said it.
Oh, my God. It's fucking terrible. My lighting is terrible in here. I need better lighting. I wonder if I raise the brightness on my monitor.
You'll just blow it out.
I don't even know what that means. Phrasing.
It'd have to be in your camera settings.
Don't tell me what it would have to be. I'll fucking kill you.
I'm clicking the rainbow now.
Oh. Am I getting brighter or no?
No.
God damn it. All right. Exit. Hold on. Stand by.
I wonder if people, instead of a thumbs up, give the gay symbol. If the gays get a signal in the sky, like a bat signal, and they come and watch the channel. It's like gay activity is happening. Get on Facebook.
Yeah, it's just fucking terrible. All right, so we got a couple things going on this week. Well, first off, some fucking psycho nut job named James Hodgkinson was shooting down in Virginia at a bunch of congressional members, Congress members, and aides and such, and it's fucking like this is where we are right now. So I don't have a point by point breakdown of what exactly transpired. I know the general idea of it. What happened was he was shooting. Apparently, it's been a tradition every year. I guess on this day, the congressmen go and they go play baseball somewhere.
Okay.
And down in Arlington, Virginia. And I guess this individual knew that, was taking shots at these people. Rand Paul was quoted as saying, I felt like sitting ducks in the middle of the field. Like they were just, they just fucking heard rounds being sent their way. A couple guys were shot. A Republican congressman was shot. I don't have his name. I had it here a second ago. His name is... I'm looking it up. I just had this damn thing. All right, and let me just read a breakdown very quickly.
Okay.
Law enforcement officials identified James T. Hodgkinson as a shooter at a congressional baseball game practice. The man suspected of firing dozens of rounds into an Alexandria baseball field Wednesday morning has been identified by federal law enforcement officials as James T. Hodgkinson, 66, of Belleville, Illinois. A Facebook page belonging to the person with the same name includes pictures of Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, a lot of anti-Trump stuff, yada, yada, yada. So... where the fuck?
What's the name of the guy?
All right, so Representative Scalise, who was a Republican from Louisiana, was shot in the hip. And the shooter was confirmed dead. Yep, so he's done. So I had gone on his Scalise. Everybody's answering for me. I'm looking at my phone. All I got to look is the comments. Thank you, guys. It's a little early for me. We're just getting the party started. I just started my caffeine. So let me bring this up for a sec. So I have a bunch of pictures here that this guy shared on his Facebook page, right? I screenshotted a bunch of them. Who knows when they're going to be down? So I just snagged them real quick on my phone. And, the consensus immediately is, or I should say what people are going to want to say is immediately, it's a gun thing. There's already some fucking asshole, a bunch of assholes tweeting about Virginia's gun laws. And you're missing the fucking point. The gun had fucking very little to do with going to shoot these people. The guy who had the gun actually had a lot more to do with it. And this guy is a fucking nut job. So on this, and I think I could change them while it's live here. This is just a post on his page. Nothing sort of super outlandish in terms of, something that he should have gotten arrested for or his page shut down. But just to confirm and establish who the guy was so it's not misconstrued as being somebody else. The Bernie Sanders people, the Marxists that are running rampant through America right now, have jumped the shark. They are legitimate fucking threats now. These are terrorists. Not every single one of them, obviously, but very much like another group we often talk about. There's starting to be two types of Marxists. The shooters and the people who believe in everything the shooter believes in, just haven't picked up a gun. Right? So here's just a post. Trump is guilty and should go to prison for treason, says the guy who is shooting a rifle at a bunch of members of the government. Okay, we have here this picture. Trump is a mean, disgusting person, says the man who is firing a rifle into a field of government employees. A fan of Bernie Sanders Day, right? July 26th.
I was unaware.
What's that?
I was unaware that was Bernie Sanders Day.
Yeah, they apparently amongst themselves they decided that's what it is, and I guess you're just going to go and ask people for money and cry about everything hard in life. I don't think Bernie's going to be there. He's probably hanging out in one of his fucking mansions while these idiots continue.
Look at the last one. Gather friends and throw a Bernie Day party. Like, what the fuck? Dude,
like in American Gods, they should have like a Bernie Sanders there, right? Because he is at that point now where these people worship him and it makes no fucking sense. Bernie Sanders is a complete piece of shit. How can any Christian support Trump? This is another thing that he posted on his page.
That lady looks adjusted.
Says the guy who was once again firing a rifle into a field of government employees. Oh, this is one of my favorites right here. Trump is so much like Hitler. It is frightening. Again, says the guy who's firing a rifle into a field of government employees. So we have this individual, and I've been saying it for a long time, and I've admittedly gotten away from the narrative and the conversation a bit because it's just frustrating on my end. Winter is coming, right? And as these two people, not two people, but these two sides of this major issue in this country, and on one side you have people who believe in the Constitution and people who want us to move more towards liberty and freedom, and certainly, admittedly, a sort of on the cusp identities involved with that. But then on the other side of the argument, you have the want to move more towards socialism and remove liberties because of some social justice paradigm and narrative and all of the fringes that belong to that group. I think that the cores of those two movements are moving further apart, and the further apart they move, the more these fringe groups are going to take hold. I think eventually it's going to erupt into a armed conflict, and I think on a large scale. I actually believe this, but it's fucking depressing, to sit here and talk about this all day, every day. To me it is, because it's just other shit I want to talk about to sort of just balance the message. So, people wind up, listening to our stuff and getting, empowered and proactive to do things that are actually going to make a positive difference. But I think, when addressing the situation, I think, we're in a point where people are going to start shooting each other in the streets over this bullshit, and it's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
100%.
Absolutely ridiculous. So Arthur, what's up, Arthur? He says, incidentally, this is also where Richard Spencer lives. Yeah, Ricardo says Spencer lives in Arlington, about 10 miles away. Yeah. Crom says, how did he get 50 to 100 rounds off at a fairly close range? Not everybody's been shooting. Well, from what I understand, this event isn't something that is very well guarded or protected or secure. Sometimes you just want to act like you're not going to get shot at just because you work for the government. And there's another post that this guy had made on his Facebook page. I didn't screenshot it, but he was talking about during the election cycle how some polling centers were down, and how this is what happens in third world countries. It's like, what also happens in third world countries is a member of the government is out in public and he gets fucking shot at by a fucking person that has a political disagreement with him. That's exactly what happens in third world countries.
Exactly. That and AIDS mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And death.
Anthony, what's up, Ant? He says, seems like the left is more about that armed insurrection life than the right. Well, see, that's the thing. One of the things that, the paradigm change that I had to make, moving from New York to Pennsylvania, or prior to that, I mean, realistically, when I started training in firearms, when I started training shooting, is I had to expose myself to and learn how to deal with the culture, of what the Second Amendment brings, to Americans. So the people that carry a pistol every day or still have their shotgun on the rifle rack, in their truck, and the people who open carry, the people who carry firearms with them because of their living situation. They're living in a place where it is very functional to make sure you have a pistol on you or something. It's a different paradigm completely to the one that I was exposed to growing up in New York City. In New York City, guns are bad unless cops have them. That is what we're told from the beginning. That is how we're raised. So that is how a lot of the indoctrination occurs in people who now, as adults, are so emotionally invested in this anti-gun message that they've long since passed the point of delusion. When you have these types of people who, go from super Marxist controlled states like New York, and they travel to places where there is more freedom and the lifestyle is more congruent with our Constitution and the way that the founding fathers of the country intended, there is a culture shock, and not the least of which is the gun issue. I'm running a pistol when I'm home, and when I go out, whether it's to the sporting goods store, the supermarket, I'm at the gym, wherever I am in PA, there are men with pistols all over the place, and it's a non-issue. It's not something where, like if you in New York City, if you were to have somebody who, let's say, who was reaching for something on a shelf and he happens to show that he has a pistol, in New York City, the person who sees this is going to make the decision whether or not this is a cop. And if it's not a cop, they're going to scream fucking murder, because they're going to be so just unwilling to fathom that this person is just somebody legally carrying a firearm, because guns are so foreign and alien to them that, it's almost like that they're being set up for failure. A lot of these people that are anti-gun have never shot a gun, don't understand the function of a gun. They have completely just reduced their understanding of what a gun's identity is to something that's used for crime. And which means, the association of a gun and a criminal is one they cannot intellectually, break. And that's why it's so fucking difficult, for these people to understand a lot of these issues as being anything other than, oh, we're one, law away from, I know how to make sure criminals don't do crime. Make a law, and like they don't understand how just fucking illogical, a statement that is,
100%. Shut up, crime.
Shut up, crime. What movie was that from?
Super.
Oh, fucking incredible movie.
Yeah,
super even.
That was a really good movie.
All right. So we got some questions here.
Yep.
All right. Ricardo, who's down in that area, says there was return fire. They're counting all shots fired, right? So I guess that was in response to the 50 to 100 rounds. Yeah. 2 Alexandria law enforcement officers also showed up to return fire. Ricardo, man on the street.
Yep.
Randy, this is it in a fucking nutshell, man. The right wants to be left alone. The left wants to destroy the right.
That's it. Yeah.
I made a meme a few weeks ago, maybe months ago, that said that. It said it's not about can't we all get along. It's about can't you leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm obsessed with that show. I've been writing about it. If you guys haven't signed up for the Master Chim letter, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. I send an email out every morning, and I've been getting such great responses to the emails. But lately, if you guys have been reading the emails, I've been talking a lot about the TV show on Netflix, Life Below Zero. I'm totally obsessed with it. And whenever I'm watching it at home, I'm always looking at my wife like, well, look, isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? And she's always like, I'm not moving to Alaska. I'm telling you right now. But she knows me. I remember we had to talk when I wanted to move to PA. I'm not moving to the fucking woods. I'm not moving to the woods. Now she loves a house. She's going to love the one in Alaska.
That's fun.
Yeah, so, all right. Will says non-issue in PA except in Philly, no open carry in Philly. Well, that's the thing. You have the two liberal shitholes in Pennsylvania, Philly and Pittsburgh. And when you look at crime statistics, when you look at the lifestyle of what happens in those areas, you see everything. It's like night and day. You see everything that you would expect by way of crime in a city in those places where they are the most restrictive,
Are you saying there's crime in Philadelphia?
A little bit. Absolutely. Shout out to all my homeboys in Philly. There we go. Jamie from the Havamala. A man should not step 1 foot forth in the field without weapons. One cannot know when on the road when he will need his spear. Absolutely. Yep. This is old wisdom right there. I mean, it's not something that is a modern, introduction. This whole concept of being ready and prepared to fulfill your role as a protector, right? And talk about Life Below Zero. One of the things that you'll notice that a lot of the guys do there is they're carrying pistols on them, sometimes little 22s or something, just because of the fucking animals and stuff. They're like, if there's something there, and you have that big crazy chick Sue that walks around her property, and she's got a fucking 30-06 with her because there's grizzlies up there, and this is just a part of their life. So the whole notion that we no longer need to protect ourselves, or somehow we're supposed to just concede that, to a proxy, a third party, is a very, very modern idea, and it's a completely dysfunctional one. It doesn't work. Because what winds up happening is you have that third party, right? They're the ones whose job it is to protect everybody. Now the individuals who are not that third party no longer see themselves as having the obligation to protect themselves. They don't any longer perform the rituals where that protection is concerned. So not only do they not identify as having that responsibility, but now they are ill-equipped to perform that responsibility over time. And then as the timeline goes on, they lose the ethical argument for having, the ability to do that obligation, right? Because now it becomes not only, if something bad happens, call 911. Then it turns into, the guy who shoots the home invader or the burglar gets sued and gets charges. Like, this is how, talking about the Overton window, this is where it slides to the point of fucking delusion and dysfunction, and that's what we see nowadays.
Yeah, especially when you have the family member saying, how else is he supposed to get his money? Of course he's going to rob your house.
Absolutely.
And people are agreeing with that, which is insane.
Right. This is from Tacitus in Germania, but it's going to be good, but I don't feel like reading it. So go ahead, Pat.
Cool. They transact no public or private business without being armed. It is not, however, usual for anyone to wear arms till the state has recognized his power to use them. Then in the presence of the council, one of the chiefs or the young man's father or some kinsman equips him with a shield and a spear. These arms are what the toga is with us, the first honor with which youth is invested. Up to this time, he is regarded as a member of a household, afterwards as a member of the Commonwealth. Tacticus Germania.
And Tacitus wrote this about the people, of Germania. And this is what was the culture, amongst those people in Northern Europe. You have this idea, this sentiment that, a child gets to the point where he becomes not a member of, like it says there, his home, but a member of the community at large. And one of the rituals, the rite of passages, is having weapons bestowed upon him. Making the comparison Tacitus did to, this is their version of our toga, which is just their robe that they wear, meaning this is how, accustomed they are to adorning these things. Bruno asks, what's going on in this world? Venting a little bit. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Oh, man. Read that.
Loretta Lynch also used similarly incendiary language in a bizarre 1-minute video in which she seemed to call upon fellow progressives to march, bleed, and die in the streets.
And that's from Arthur Fry. And we remember when that happened because I remember speaking about it. But this is how it goes down.
Yep.
You start with the language, you start inciting, or you try to validate your position first off. And then what you do is you start inciting those fringe individuals who are dysfunctionally emotional, who are going to see this as a call to arms. And next thing you know, they're shooting at people with a rifle, and while they're fucking playing baseball.
Yeah.
And this is how it happens. So many friends of mine, or fucking not friends of mine anymore, let's be realistic, during the last election, were so emotional in their support for either Bernie or Hillary. And, when I would try to, in discourse, in dialogue with them, try to remove the specifics or the applications of what we're discussing and just bring it back to a more conceptual discussion, they couldn't even see their own hypocrisy. This whole idea of this guy who was just who's now dead, who was shooting at members of Congress, in a baseball field, him posting on his Facebook page, that Trump is literally Hitler, right? It's like the irony of that is completely lost upon them. Like this paradox of being a liberal in 2017 America, is completely just lost on the people of those groups. I had people telling me that, Trump shouldn't be allowed to run for president. Trump, the collusion with Russia, should remove him from the presidential race. And when I would bring up that absolutely no evidence was found, saying that there was any collusion, that there are established, factual at this point accounts of things that Hillary has done, that completely, overwhelm, any narrative against Trump. With Trump, you had the pussy remark that was made in private amongst a few individuals. With Hillary, you have millions of dollars being given to a foundation by foreign governments. You have how many emails? 30-something thousand emails that were lost during an investigation into her emails. It's just a hypocrisy, but it's really the paradox of being a liberal nowadays, because the more excited they get, the more hypocritical they tend to become. And, at the end of the day, and I forget who had mentioned it earlier, I think it was maybe Anthony, somebody, I don't know, that said the right just wants to be left alone. It was Randy Kuiper. Randy. He said the left, wants the right dead. And that's the issue. So now when you have that component of our society that has been doing nothing but, embracing their Second Amendment rights for generations now. When they make the decision that enough is enough, these people need to be eradicated, that's going to be a fucking problem. It's going to be a problem for America. It's going to be a problem for a lot of people, most of which are going to be all these people who really think they're about that life till people start shooting them,
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, They're not ready for that.
This is from Corey. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm from Arizona. Firearms are a total non-issue. As soon as I moved to New Jersey, I asked people how they felt about firearms and their use. It basically came down to this. Only lawyers, judges, and cops get to buy and carry a firearm. Home defense is not even an option. Wait for the police, they say.
Right.
Great. Newsflash, you are the first responder. You yourself, to any situation, are the first responder. Waiting for police, that's how you get killed.
And it's funny when I talk about, why I started training in SIOC, learning, blade arts and weapons training and shooting and such. I would always get from people, why do you have to carry a knife? You're a black belt. And it's the fact that somebody even asked that question shows just how clueless they are as to what it is that we're doing, as men, as martial artists, as warriors, as people who, look to fulfill this obligation that they have. I would like to ask the person whose, son or daughter is murdered, by a stranger in an interaction that they could have been more proactive with had they been armed, if they could do it all over again, would they look at it differently? And if that's the case, because examples of this are, endless, if they would have done it differently, is it worth then acknowledging that maybe we should readdress what men should be doing these days?
Yeah. And
by men, I really just mean adults who are in charge of the protection of others. Shouldn't we see that there is an argument to be had for equipping a man with the ability to defend himself and his family and his property? A lot of times I'm here late night at the school. I'm in the Bronx now. And I remember one time there was I was in my office and we had a bunch. And I talk about the people sitting on my motorcycle on the show. I don't think I did because I gotta edit the story a little bit. But it's long. It's far enough away in the timeline that I can discuss it somewhat.
Yeah.
I see a couple of people around my Harley, which is outside. I have cameras, and I look, and somebody's sitting on my bike, and I run to the front of the school, and I find two drunk guys and a girl that's on my bike, and they're taking pictures of the girl. And, I thought somebody was stealing my bike. So my first reaction is to defend my property. And I was looking to defend my property. And when I get out there, I grab the girl by the scruff and, move her off the bike. And I look at the guys and I am seeing red, so I want to go full berserker. And they weren't stealing a bike, which was an issue. But, these people all deserve beatings. And they deserve beatings that I cannot give them without a consequence that is completely unacceptable by me. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, this is what's wrong with thinking that weapons and violence and all these things have no place in our lives. You have people who don't understand what consequences are. There are people, I'll tell you right now, there are friends of mine that if somebody were to, be on their bike, they'd be batted, either to the hospital or thrown in a fucking ditch. Because there are certain codes that, especially with the bike culture, that you just don't break.
Yeah.
And these people, are completely just unaware of this. They walk around as if, there are no real world consequences. Everybody's safe. We're all just in this big sort of padded fucking, environment where, we can't really hurt ourselves and nothing's going to hurt us. But these are the same types of individuals that will argue against firearms, that will argue like this perennial victim identification. And it's just frustrating for me because one of the things that I've always said, moving to PA was my escape from New York because, I come here, I'm in my academy. Well, I'm in my academy. Everybody here is squared away, right? Because they're in my academy. But I can't go around New York and fucking socialize when these people are going to, the markets in the Bronx, or they're spending time in the city and all these public areas dealing with all these people. I'm going to wind up fucking putting somebody in the hospital because
you don't take the subway anymore, MC. You don't take the subway anymore.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't even trust myself on a subway. I'll be honest.
I agree. I mean, I haven't been on a subway in almost 7 years, maybe longer.
It's really frustrating at times because I'm looking at these people. They are grown fucking men and women. They're adults, and they conduct themselves like they're children. And the whole thing is their whole lives. That's exactly how they've been treated.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the story of, it was on the 4 train or 6 train? These kids, I would say they're probably like 31, 32, young, upwardly mobile professionals. They were throwing their garbage around, and they threw their garbage out of the train, and it hit a guy. So he got up, got on the train, stabbed them all to death, and then just got off at the next stop, and without even breaking a sweat. They hit him with garbage, and they were trying to apologize. They were trying to say, I'm sorry. He didn't give a fuck. He just stabbed them all and left.
And they caught him?
They didn't catch the guy, no. He left. He literally stabbed him, got off at the next stop.
Going for liberty.
He was bye. And they were pleading for their lives because they were I just threw garbage out. I didn't mean anything. He didn't say a word to them. He just killed them and left because they were acting foolish. They thought they were immortal. That they could throw garbage around the train and they would be safe.
Yeah, I remember one time being on the subway and I'm sitting there and some guy's talking to himself. He's doing the crazy routine. He's looking at people. He's doing all this like that. And he looks at me and he goes, you could tell he locks eyes with me and he was stuck there for a moment. And I looked at him, I leaned in, I said, "You're not that fucking crazy." and he immediately looks away, gets up and goes to the next subway car.
But you said you're not that crazy.
These are the people that prey in those environments, or I should say that are predators and prey on these victims in these environments. There's no consequence for their actions.
Nope.
There's no consequence. There are things that you should be able to, if you do, you are thrown a beating for. You get a bat over the fucking head for. When you have now, individuals who will basically throw tantrums as adults in public, and the public coddles them. The public, fucking perfect example. Just last night, I'm speaking with one of my students, and one of my students who is an employee in the New York City Board of Ed, and he's a teacher, and he's talking about an incident in the school where 2 young girls, one of which is, according to him, about 6 feet 240, right, breaks into a teacher's classroom, and these 2 young girls find a girl that they were looking for and just start beating the living shit out of her. The teacher, a young lady who's in the classroom, calls for help and then runs, because they're school safety officers, and the protocol is you have to get them. You're not allowed, the teachers aren't allowed to intervene, right? They're not allowed to break up a fight. They're not allowed to do any of that shit, which is another issue. But what this teacher does is, rather than sit there and watch this young girl get her face beaten in by by the brute squad that just showed up, she covers the girl with her own body, and the 2 girls are now kicking the teacher in the head. beating the shit out of the teacher while she's covering up. Eventually, school safety comes in. Eventually, NYPD comes in because every school has an NYPD presence. The girls, the attackers, are not arrested. They are convinced, the school officials are convinced by representatives of the NYPD to not pursue an arrest. So these young girls will face a disciplinary action within the confines of the school for breaking into a classroom, assaulting a student and assaulting a teacher. And there's going to be absolutely no consequences. They'll wind up getting suspended or something. You know, which these don't sound like fucking girls vying for Rhodes Scholars to begin with. So when you have a society that has no consequences, there is nothing to sort of incentivize the group's morality, you know, in how people conduct themselves. And this just happened yesterday, right? Last night I was talking with this guy, one of my students that works at the school, and he's sitting there because he knows me, so he's basically venting with me. He's like, you know, this is what's going on, you know, like, and you could understand the position of the Board of Ed where the protocol of contacting the school safety officer is in place. You don't want teachers having to fight students. And these situations, there's just too many students. You know, it's like, because I can see that that's a thing. I understand, you know, a lot of people don't even want to give that credit. But, you know, when you have one teacher and there's 40 students per class in a building that has thousands of students, you know, you can't put any responsibility on a teacher to have some sort of physical, you know, capability when dealing with disciplinary action. That's why the school safety officers are there. But to have a scenario where basically a teacher sacrifices her own safety to protect a student, to have there be no legal repercussions and no consequences for these attackers is the exact, you know, reflection of what we have in this society here. You know, I've always said, like, the whole Antifa Marxist thing, like, listen, they could argue, they could yell, they could do whatever they want. I obviously don't agree with any of their political positioning, but as soon as they fucking put their hands on me, I'm going to use 100% of my ability to hurt them as quickly as possible to the best of my ability. And I think that's how people reintroduced consequence. Yeah. You can't let anything go. You don't instigate these conflicts. You don't initiate these conflicts, but you overwhelmingly dominate them. Everybody's allowed to have a voice in this country. Everybody's allowed to have a dissenting opinion. Hate speech, 100% legal, by the way. You know, racism, 100% legal. Retarded fucking communist identities, 100% legal to share. You know, but as soon as they start, you know, impinging or sabotaging one's ability to follow his own rights as a citizen, they need to be fucking crushed. Yeah. Absolutely crushed.
You win that fight and you win every other fight by doing so.
All right, absolutely. Absolutely. James is falling down the soda pop scene.
That's a great movie.
Such a fucking great movie. Such a great movie. Right, and that's what happens, Daniel. Good point. They just received permission to do more heinous acts in the future. Yep. And that's what happens. Like, so if you have, you know, these people that are so emotionally unstable that they become violent, well, the violence is really the coping mechanism for their inability to control themselves. So without consequence, what you have from their perspective is a successful means by which they deal with that overwhelming emotion. You know, it becomes a winning formula. And usually the laws are supposed to remind them that it is not a winning formula. Somebody getting shot is reminding them that it's not a winning formula. Like if you pay attention to old Westerns, right? And Bonanza is another one too. Little back scratch action. what you'll see is that horse thieves were shot. They were hung.
Yeah.
You stole somebody's horse, you died.
That was like a fucking major thing, stealing someone's horse.
But that was like a major thing. Now, why was it a major thing? Because obviously that is, the horse represents so much of somebody's livelihood and the ability to pursue, whatever, fucking lifestyle that they had, at the time. But it was completely universally understood. You steal somebody's horse, you die. And nowadays, people steal cars, they steal money, they steal everything from each other.
Steal whatever.
Right, but nobody's looking to kill somebody for stealing something. When, it wasn't too long ago that everybody understood. You steal somebody's horse, you fucking die,
Yeah.
Herman says, when the law is insufficient, people will start getting frustrated. That's when they take it into their own hands. It's exactly right. I talked about with the protests and the rallies that are becoming like all the rage nowadays. How, when the Marxists show up to harass and sabotage these events from happening, the pressure from the people who are on the side of freedom and liberty needs to be put towards those proxies who are charged with maintaining the order. Because now what winds up happening is, people do get frustrated and they start taking it into their own hands. And then what they wind up doing is putting themselves in harm's way legally. And they create the argument for the government, for the big government, for the third party government, to take away their freedoms, because if the government's not going to do it, the people are, and I believe in that idea wholeheartedly. It's just that, I think there needs to be a stage at the beginning of this where we remind the government, it's like, hey, do your fucking job.
Yeah.
As opposed to, just saying, listen, somebody fucks with you, just handle it on your own. Like, okay, I'm going to add to that. Just make sure you get away with it. But now that's what we're doing. Now we're cowering. We're trying to be who we are and keeping it hidden from our overseeing government. And that's what freedom's about. Freedom's about making sure that all this shit's congruent, Nick Andrews, who knows all about getting fucked over while being somebody who's helpful in schools, says one solution in schools is restorative justice, which is repairing the harm you did to the community. That worked well in my school. It creates empathy where empathy didn't exist. And Nick, I got to get you on the podcast. Let's set that up. I'm going to send you a message because I really want people to hear your story because it's a very frustrating one, and I'm tired of being frustrated by myself. So let's frustrate everybody with your story. I'm going to send you a message, Nick. Let's schedule that. Yeah, his is a just fucking aggravating story. Will says most of those proxies are told to stand down, thus enabling that. Absolutely. That's exactly what happens.
Yep.
Like, I know a lot of people in law enforcement, and, not to rehash that whole fucking argument, but I know a lot of people that are fucking solid individuals that are cops. Of course, there's some douchebags, like every other fucking group, but a lot of these people in these scenarios are told to stand down. They're told, listen, just sit there and watch, become zookeepers. Let the animals do what they're going to do. I'm completely opposed to that. I think that they need to take a long, hard look at what exactly they're doing and who they are as men if they are standing down and not fulfilling their obligation and their duties. But also there's the argument, well, all right, if I do it, I get fired. Now I'm somebody who can't do anything because, I got fired from my job for not listening, to the order to stand down. And I don't know what to tell you. There's a reason why I don't work for other people. It's because I'm going to be me. I remember sharing that quote from that lady, Susan, from that show, Life Below Zero. And she's talking about all the things that she does to make money. And she makes the, statement, the general statement, I'm not trying to make money to be rich. I make money just so I can be who I am. And I'm a big believer in that. Surround yourself with people and make the decisions and create the environment that allows you to be who you are. I cannot have a boss. There's no way. I'm a terrible employee, but I am a very effective entrepreneur. I'm a very effective, business owner and such. But I need to do what I'm going to do. I don't know if it was yesterday or maybe the day before. I had Monday, I did the Monday Manversation on the Warrior page. And then after that, went and fished for a couple hours, came back, did some writing, watched some Life Below Zero, hung out with my kids. Like, my days are, I do what the fuck I want.
Yeah, your days are yours.
Right. And, there's ever so, so often I have to make sure that I put my nose to the grindstone when necessary. But, because of my time management strategies, because of the things that I've done over the years to position my life the way it is and built up the way it is, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I get to be who I am, including moving to Pennsylvania where, I don't have to deal with the confines of the fucking the liberal groupthink here in New York City, Arthur says the cops have too much responsibility placed on them. They are mental health workers, domestic referees, drug addiction specialists, and then they're supposed to protect and serve without judgment. Absolutely, and I agree completely. And it's really an argument for accountability that I'm talking about, because they are, expected to do all these. They're basically expected to incentivize criminals from not being criminals. And that's not really their job. Their job is to, enforce the law. Their job is to, represent one link in the sort of chain of justice, and it's just not the case nowadays. I look at New York City and a lot of these cops, are great cops, but a lot of them just don't give a shit. And why? Because they've been beaten down over the years. Everybody disrespects them. Everybody treats them like they're a piece of shit. And these are people. What do you expect to happen over time? We could sit here and talk about, well, they have to do their job and that's bullshit. Like, yeah, okay. We could act like, people are going to be perfect, I guess. But the fact of the matter is, if you had a job where you woke up every day and you had to protect a bunch of people who treat you like shit, who are disrespectful to you, and these people act like fucking vermin, and the cops need to corral this rather than just doing their job. It's like, yeah, it's going to wear people down over time. You have these just jaded police officers that when they came on, thought they were going to become, Captain America, thought they were going to fight crime. They were going to do all these great things and clean up the streets. And then the bureaucracy, just the fucking having your hands tied behind your back, the constant barrage of ingrates that they're forced to deal with day in and day out. It's like, yeah, this is what happens. This is what happens. Well, it says MC, there's some moots coming up in PA if you're interested. No, absolutely. Send me a message. Let me know what's going on. I'd love to meet some people in PA. All right, so what else is going on? Arthur says, I always ask if people would say to my face what they say over the internet. You, the thing about the shit I got to deal with. These little fucking cunts, sending me messages. I mean, I haven't gotten a death threat in a while.
True.
It's been a bit, but at one point people were threatening my lives. I'm going to find you. I have guns, and it's like, okay, game on, motherfucker. All challenges accepted. Show up whenever you're ready. I tell everybody that talks shit, and it's really, you got to be dismissive of it almost, because when somebody's talking shit online, they're talking shit online. They're not, like that is what they're doing. If you have somebody who is anonymous who's talking shit online, don't even respond to them. They're not even a real person. Literally, yeah. They're not even a real person. But I tell everybody, I consider myself a just man. I consider myself consistent morally. I'm an alliance builder, but I am very, very much a believer in following protocols. And a lot of that just pressures people past the point of their ability to cope, with the adversity or the pressure. And they become very emotional. And sometimes they reach out to me, attacking me or threatening me. And I tell all of them, listen, if you show up, I'll deal with you like somebody who showed up ready to do some shit. But to sit here and go back and forth about what we're going to do to each other, on the internet, it's fucking gay,
Yeah, 100%.
Rainbow hearts. Who's got the rainbows?
Put the rainbows up.
I'm not watching the feed, so I can't see. We haven't done an algorithm check.
I've been doing it the whole time.
Have you?
Yep.
You've been posting algorithm?
Yeah, I did. All the guys who know to do it, as soon as they see me doing the thumbs up, everyone do it. Everyone does it. So they follow when I do it.
You're like the Pied Piper.
I'm the algorithm Pied Piper.
So I'm going to bring up the show right now. Hold on.
Hey, look, everyone's going nuts right now.
Are they?
Yeah. Yeah, anytime you guys see me do the thumbs up, just do it with me.
Oh man, there's a lot of the fucking fag flags.
Yeah. The new trick is to say, guys, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't aware, like one of the things that goes on like with trainings for hosting live videos on Facebook is, in order to help the algorithm, in the search engine and how many people on your fan list that you appear on when you go live, you want to have like a good score. Let's think of it that way, right? So depending on how many people show up, how many people comment, and how many people hit the buttons, basically Facebook gives you a score, and that score determines how frequently you appear on people's feed when you go live. So what I do is, rather than play all the stupid games they're taught, hey guys, if you agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you don't agree with me, give me a wow face. Like they do stupid shit like that to basically trick people into fucking participating so that Facebook, measures it, a lot more effectively. But what I would say is just fucking like every once in a while I'll say algorithm, just press a bunch of buttons and help me out. It's a lot more transparent, I think. All right. So, all right, we're an hour in.
Yeah.
And we actually have a new what do I call it? A feature, a bit?
Segment?
A segment. There you go. It sounds so much better. Segment, a bit. It's like a fucking card trick, right? We got a new segment that we're going to be doing. And I didn't, of course, prepare this beforehand to where this is already ready. But I do have the list here. I don't have the list there. I don't know. Should I type? I don't feel like typing right now. Yeah, I'm not going to type it. So I should type. Should I type it?
No.
Fuck that, right?
For what reason? It's good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Some of them are long. So we're starting. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Hold on. Stand by. Bam! That's what I'll do. So there's the corresponding, title card when we're doing it. We're going to have a new segment every show, and it's going to be called Man Codes. And what it's going to be is just Pat and I adding codes. It is going to be a running list of codes. So there's going to be a point where we're going to have 100 of them, 500 of them, and some of them are going to be repetitive. Some of them are going to probably restate something that was said in a different way. a couple of hundred codes before that, but it doesn't matter. The whole idea is each one's going to be different enough that it gets its own code. And the point of this is to just have everybody likes a list, right? Everybody likes a bullet point list. Everybody likes, these things that just allow them. It's almost like the precursor to the memes, right? Lists were before memes. They were just concise, clear ways of getting an idea across. And it certainly gives us some stuff to talk about, okay? Yeah. So, fuck, man, I really want to type these. Should I type them? I'm going to type them.
You want to do it, so.
I got to take out my fucking keyboard. This is me taking out my keyboard. Remember that meme? Keyboard. Show me on the keyboard where I hurt you. All right. So here is number one. All right. Number one.
Number one.
Number one, man code. The first man code ever. Never go against the family. Yep. Never go against the family. So there's that great scene when Michael Corleone told Fredo he was out in Vegas, and Fredo, was being a douchebag.
He's being Fredo.
Fredo was being Fredo, and
Fredo's gonna Fredo.
Fredo's gonna Fredo, and Michael had to look at him, and he goes, never go against the family. And there's something powerful in that, because it reminds people that there are people who are connected to you that are different from everybody else. Now, there's been plenty of times where I've disagreed with people in tribe. I've argued with people in tribe. I've reprimanded people in tribe. I've been reprimanded by people in tribe. But the whole thing is, none of that is ever apparent to people who are outside of the tribe. So another application of the concept is in parenting. You always want to present the united front, right? Never argue in front of your kids. Why? Because the two of you are a team, the mother and father. In some families, the mother and government, right? But more traditionally, I'm speaking of the mother and father, you're a team. So if you allow there to be a sort of, it becomes obvious that there's some sort of dissent, some sort of disagreement, you undermine your ability to do your job. You certainly undermine your ability to appear strong, right? It looks weak. And that weakness, it's like a crack in the hull of a ship. Eventually, these cracks are going to get bigger. They're going to become more pronounced, and they'll sink your ship. Yeah. And that's what this meme is, or this code is. So the number one man code: never go against the family. Remember, it doesn't mean don't agree with your brothers and sisters. Going against the family means you're taking that tribe and you're putting them, in a separate spot, and you are going against the group at large, right? So never go against the family. Any conflict that goes on should be happening behind closed doors. So number two. I knew I was going to misspell a lot of these things. Be a man of your word. So if you are somebody who, says things and then does other things, if you're somebody who, with his reputation, sort of commits himself or writes a check, if you will, and the account is empty, right? You're bouncing man checks, right? Yeah. If you're somebody who's bouncing man checks, what winds up happening is you start getting treated more and more like somebody who belongs outside of the tribal wall. True. If I can't rely on you, it's sort of like, when you look at the model that I created with the loyalty matrix, the RPS formula, and how the first tribe or the first identity is self-identity. Well, think of it at that level of scale, and think about if your left hand goes numb, right? And you can't use it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and you have to grab something, and whatever you're grabbing is important. You look at your left hand and you go, you know what? Maybe I should get something to help because I can't rely on this working. This hand isn't always functional. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But because it is and isn't at different times, it's at least unreliable. I can't trust it. And that's what happens when you are a man of your word, as opposed to not being a man of your word. When you're not a man of your word, it doesn't matter if 99% of the time you follow what you say to a T. If there is that 1% of the time where it's not an anomaly, but it's something that's a part of who you are, people will look at you and they'll understand that you need to be relegated to that role, to that level of trust. And it's really a level of trust that does not coincide with strong legacy, strong reputation, and such. So be a man of your word, because being a man of your word is being functional, right? Just like, having your hand always work when you want to use it. You want people to be able to trust you with that same degree of certainty. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is an important one. Return the favor. So when you have somebody who invests in you, their time, energy, resources, i.e. they do you a favor, the whole system of bartering is based on reciprocity. It's based on making sure that it is moral to reciprocate. I was watching my favorite show, Life Below Zero, and there's a couple there where the woman is of an indigenous group, an Eskimo. Inupiaq is the name of the people.
Yeah.
And there's a rite of passage that they're bringing their daughters, up with, and it's their first kill, right? And it's trapping. They trap, I think, I don't know if it was a marten they were trapping or a muskrat, maybe. I don't know what it was they were trapping, but the young girl trapped this animal, and what they do is she decides who to give it to. So the first animal that they catch, they give away as a gift. And it represents the mindset of everybody helping everybody else within the tribe. So I thought it was a great, great ritual. And usually the ones that are old enough are. And it's based on this, returning the favor. Don't look at people as just, groups of or piles of resources to be exploited. Everything is a sort of living, breathing exchange. If we're to remain a strong tribe, there needs to be a balance amongst its members. And if you have one person who's getting a disproportionate amount of investment from the other members of the tribe, you start to sabotage the tribe's ability to sort of remain functional, right? And the balance is a very, very important component of that, right? Jamie, Havamal on cue. A man shall ever be a friend to his friends and give gift for gift, laughter for laughter, but give lies for lies. And again, old wisdom always gets it right, because the thing is, it's stood the test of time. I always talk about the feedback loop of reality. And, I use the context of martial arts a lot. But if you expose something to reality and it works, that means it's functional. That means it's following the natural laws. And you'll find those customs and traditions, sayings and laws that have survived over generations have done so because they work, right?
Yep.
So that was good. All right. Number 4. And we have 10 of them today. Just give you a
10.
little, 10 of them. Number 4, I like this one. Forgive and act, but not one's nature. So nobody's perfect. I fuck up all the time. And I think there's something to be said for somebody who has an understanding of that he is not going to be perfect. But also what goes along with that is other people aren't perfect. And people make mistakes. I am of the mindset that somebody's nature is not a mistake. It's just who they are. So I am always willing to forgive somebody's act. But if it is just another application or another reflection of what I know to be their nature, I can't forgive that. I don't believe people change. I think people apply who they are in different ways over time. I think they individually learn to make the most of who they are, but I don't think that that's them changing. So if I'm somebody who's really, really, let's just say, selfish, right? I only worry about myself. I'm going to find ways, if I'm going to succeed in life, if I'm going to acquire whatever mission that I'm on, I have to find a way to do that while being selfish, while being who I am. So how I apply that, how I conduct myself may change, but the nature of me being selfish does not. But looking at people as imperfect beings, I think it's important to understand that if we don't have that mechanism tribally whereby we allow people to make a mistake and learn from them, how do we ever, gain that wisdom in the first place? I think that when we look at, ourselves, and I think this is a good general rule, although not in a list of man codes, but related to this, a good indicator is when you're honest with yourself, the things that you've messed up, that you really didn't intend to mess up, and you understand that other people are going through that too. So let's get on the next one. That was number 4. Number 5.
Number 5.
Decide your fighting words. So what do I mean by that? Everybody needs to have a line that when crossed, they act. If you are somebody who, I don't know if it was a cartoon that I first saw this, where a line was drawn in the sand, and he goes, if you you better not cross that line, or you'll see what's going to happen. And then the guy crosses the line, and then he draws another one. Oh, yeah, well, you better not cross this line, or you're going to see what happens. And as he goes back and back, you start to understand, ain't shit going to happen.
Nothing.
Now, I remember the other day I shared a one of those memories on Facebook posts. It was an old quote. And I said the quote, paraphrasing myself. Can you do that?
Yes.
The quote was, there are a lot of noble reasons for fighting. Winning or certainty of winning is not among them. And,
who said that?
The thing is, if you're conducting yourself in a way that you're only going to do things that have 100% certainty, you're being unnatural. You're not living in the real world, because we know that's not the case. But if we are a man of principle and we hold ourselves to a standard that is that exceeds the standards that we hold animals to, we know that there are going to be codes, right, that we follow.
Yep.
And one such code is, what these fighting words are. There's a certain line that if you cross it with me, those are fighting words. Now, I will say that this ties very much into the concept of a duel, in that there is some sort of minimal alliance that would allow me to even see addressing you as necessary. I always use the example because I think it's a very simple, quick illustration. If you have a professional athlete who's on the road in some other arena and everybody's calling him everything under the sun, cursing his mother, his wife, his kids, if your formula, or if that individual's formula is punching that guy in the mouth, there's too many mouths to punch. You lose sight of what you are. So these people are completely, we say X tribe and not laddered, right? The haters episode has that paradigm laid out. And so this is somebody who is relevant enough that you would have an interaction with or the need to respond to. But there needs to be a point where, all right, that's it. And this needn't be, just this is where I punch somebody in the face. It could be when you tell somebody to go fuck themselves. It could be when you tell somebody, when you cut somebody off. You know, it could be when you say, you know what, fuck you, that's it, and you just remove any tribal benefits that they were receiving up until that point. There are a lot of different ways to go about this, to express this. But everybody needs to have a line, and stick by it, because that's how you earn respect. When you go to the jails, and I may have, I may have visited one myself.
Maybe.
When you go, the guy that's running the show isn't always the biggest, strongest guy. He's the guy, though, that everybody understands has a line. And nobody wants to cross it because they know exactly what's going to happen. And that's, that's a man code right there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that was number 5. Number 6. Switching it up a bit. Lazy body, lazy mind. So if you are somebody who does not embrace his body's relationship with nature, i.e. you are lazy, understand that you also sacrifice the function of your mind and its ability to operate. Now, one could say, yeah, but you look at a lot of these geniuses and these guys that are super smart, and they're fucking fat, lazy guys that sit in front of a computer all day and they don't do anything. I would counter that by suggesting, and there may be some fallacy in this, but I'll do it anyway. Imagine if they actually exercised. Imagine if they did something physical.
Yeah.
I know a great example of this is the chess player who's been on the Tim Ferriss podcast a million times, Josh Waitzkin. He's the guy who they made the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer about. It was about him, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He trains down at Marcelo Garcia's spot in the city. I think he's one of Marcelo. Actually, I think he's a part owner of Marcelo's, but
that's cool.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy and genius dude. But very physical, has developed a relationship with his physicality. And I think a lot of people that have an impressive, relationship of insight, intellect, and capability are people who have embraced the physicality of who they are, the physical nature of their identity. And I contend if you are a lazy individual, your mind will be sacrificed for that laziness because of that laziness. If you use 50% of your body's capability, I argue you'll be using 50% of your mind's capability.
Makes sense.
Lazy body, lazy mind. Get out there and move. Hit some shit. Throw some shit. Run through some shit. Swim through some shit. Do some shit. Right?
That's true. 100%.
Number 7. It's a cliche to go, this is an important one.
They're all important.
Listen to your brothers. So, if you are somebody who does not have the ability to take in and apply constructive criticism from people you trust, then you might as well be alone. You might as well be by yourself.
Yeah.
Because you are taking so much of the synergy of what tribe means and just throwing it by the wayside. I always talked about, and I'm going to do it again. Let me get an object. All right, so let's say that you have, let's see if I can do this properly. Right? You have this little box. Phrasing. Right? You have this little box, and I want you to describe what this is. What is it, Pat?
I know. It's a piece of plastic.
Right? So it's a piece of plastic, but where you are and what you can see tells you it's a piece of plastic, and you're absolutely right, it's a piece of plastic. But then somebody's on top and has a different perspective, and he's going, actually, it's a little gun. This is my 5-year-old's pistol. It's got a slide and everything.
Awesome.
I just shot something. So
AD.
This is I've meant to.
I'm just joking.
So if you have somebody who isn't paying attention to what's going on, or somebody who's just looking at life through their own eyes, you are not seeing other things that are there that you can't see. You just can't see them.
Yeah.
And the person who's so insecure, the person who is so arrogant as to think that he can navigate this life to the best of his ability through his perspective alone, is ignorant, is stupid, is foolish. And coupled along with that is this man code. You have to have people that you trust enough to listen to. You have to believe in the act of trusting other people. If you're somebody who nobody could talk to, I can't talk to, like, if you're somebody who is so emotional that I know you need to hear something, but then whenever I tell you, you react negatively and emotionally towards me, sabotaging or disincentivizing my motivation to help you, then you are just trying to go through life by yourself. And you leave every single ounce of power that tribe will bring you on the shelf.
Yeah.
So it's important. Sophia says the earth is flat, though.
Yeah. I think you have to put D-O. The earth is flat, though.
Right. But these are the arguments. It seems like those are the arguments that I have with people at times. It's like, listen, you're going out, you're drinking every weekend, you work all week, you're not getting anywhere in life. What are you doing, man? You got to do something positive. You got to be around good people, strong people. You got to do something that's going to build, your legacy over time. And then they'll give me some reaction that no matter what it is, it sounds like that. But the earth is flat, though.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. Because
Yep.
It's so fucking asinine and delusional that it's like, oh, you weren't listening to anything I just fucking said. Why should I try saying it again? Right? And that's the point. All right. So number 8. So we're up to number 8. Moving right along. Oh, geez, this is a long one. I wish I would have done this before. I'm also like stickler for like punctuation and grammar. Whenever I write one of my Master Chim letter emails in the mornings and I notice that I like misspelled something, or it fucking kills me because I can't like pull the email back, fix it, and send it back. Yeah, it is what it is.
They say super intelligent people curse a lot and can't spell. That's what they say.
Some dude that fucking cursed that couldn't spell is the one that put that out there. Good for him, though, helping us all out. Number 8, treat strangers kindly, but with suspicion. Treat strangers kindly, but with suspicion. Now, I'm somebody who is very much, contrary to what a lot of people in my past think, I am somebody who is very much committed to building alliance. I think that the way that I deal with somebody when I first meet them, and those of you that have met me, I think can attest to this. I enjoy being engaging with people. I enjoy, communicating to them my willingness to build alliance. I like being nice, but not for niceness' sake. I don't like.
I didn't even catch that. It says treat strangers kingly.
Is that? There you go. Holy shit! Fucking Freudian slip. Holy fuck! I can't.
Sounds cool though.
Myself.
Treat them kingly. I'm into it.
But I will listen to you. But that's what I wrote because I listened to my brothers. But kingly works. Jamie to my rescue. Okay, yeah. But it's not what I intended, right? So the whole thing is when I say treat them kindly or kingly, but with suspicion, it's understand, and I'll use an interaction like a tactical sort of situation to illustrate this. Somebody knocks on my door, and I have no idea who they are. And let's say it's a late hour. And I look at the guy, and I immediately assess he's physically capable. He's strong. If we get into a tussle, it's going to mean something. I'm going to have to make sure that I'm in a position to smash this. I'm going to tell my kids, get away from the door. I'm going to tell my wife, I don't know who this is. I'm going to equip myself with the ability to handle, protection of my home. I'm going to do all these different things, see where his car is, see if he's with anybody, make sure that the light's in his face when I open the door, do all these different things. But the first thing I'm going to say to him is, hey, man, how you doing? What can I do for you? And I think that is how we need to conduct ourselves with strangers. We need to communicate the willingness or the openness to building alliance at whatever level of commitment that may be, don't get me wrong, but also do the work necessary to understand that this shit can go sideways in a heartbeat. Yeah. And have the wherewithal to prepare for that possibility without sabotaging the interaction, right? There are some people I know that, I'm very engaging when I deal with people in public. Super friendly, super nice, super this, super that, because I know that'll elicit a certain response from them. I know my experience or the time that I have with these people in these environments will be much more effective, will be much better if I act that way. If I go around with a sourpuss, mean mugging everybody, I know that more problems will manifest because of that energy I'm putting out. So it's really, I'm talking about functional formulas here. Have the wherewithal to let strangers know that you want alliance, but be prepared for anything that is possible, right?
Be nice until it's time not to be nice.
Arthur says, you mean be civilized? Yes. Don't act like a fucking wild mongrel. Yes, that's exactly it. Remember when common sense used to be common?
Yeah, not really, actually.
It's been a while. All right, so we're up to number 9.
Number 9.
Solid
number.
It's
really a list of 9 with a bonus.
Right. All right, I'm writing it.
Awesome. 9.
Number 9. Alliance is better than the war. I already misspelled another one. Holy shit. I'm like I didn't put the. Alliance is better than war, but not always.
That sounds epic, though. Alliance is better than the war.
Alliance is better than war, but not always. So, I guess piggybacking off of the last one as I was writing these, you have to understand that, we always want a formula to build alliance. Because if I meet a stranger and I get to decide, let's say beforehand, I could build an alliance with this person which represents a shared mission that allows there to be benefits and synergy that I experience because of that mission shared with this person. I could choose that, or I could choose war. I tried to end his identity and his mission. He tries to end mine. I don't think it takes much to convince somebody that obviously alliance is better. The universe is at war with us to begin with. There's always going to be conflict.
Everything is trying to kill you.
Right. Everything's trying to kill you. So building alliance rather than building yet another thing trying to kill you is obviously the better choice. But we have to understand that that alliance building sort of, I guess, put on the backdrop of, deciding your fighting words, right? One of the early codes.
Yeah.
We have to understand that there's a time where war is going to be the best thing. There's a time where what somebody's saying and what somebody is actually doing to your tribe are incongruent, and what they're doing is attacking your tribe's mission, your tribe's identity. So it's one of those things where if I'm going to build alliance with strangers as a process, I have to understand that there needs to be a sort of prerequisite in maybe, their compatibility with me, maybe the rhetoric, maybe their intent, their deeds, maybe my history and probability factor in. Whatever the case is, that needs to be a decision every time it happens, right? So alliance is better than war. I have to understand that when a stranger is at my doorstep, however that, manifests itself, I have to make the decision still. I have to make the decision. Do I build alliance? Do I engage this person in war? I understand that the overwhelming majority of times it's going to be alliance. And there's going to be different levels of alliance, right? There's your neighbor that you say good morning to. There's your wife that you wake up with every morning. There's everything in between, in terms of different alliances that you can build. But I have to understand that no matter how statistically insignificant those times where war is necessary presents itself, I can never forget it and I can never remove it. And I think when you look at a lot of the people who have gone dysfunctionally, progressive, in today's political landscape, I think you've seen people who have removed that component of how they look at the world. It's like, yeah, we want to get along with everybody. But if he tries to steal my horse, I'm going to shoot him in his fucking face.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Right. And the final one for today.
Bonus.
Not a bonus.
9 and a bonus.
This is going to be a recurring thing. So when we're on 34,
yeah,
it loses that. So
true.
Stop trying to change the rules to my game, motherfucker.
Just adding color commentary.
Number 10. Your legacy is your final score. Okay.
Yep.
So this is a video game paradigm, in a reference. And I think when you talk about what matters in life, you'll find people who chase money, chase women, chase drugs, chase a type of lifestyle that is built on instant gratification, that is built on the here and now, and never concerning themselves with anything of significance, never looking at their lives like a link in a chain that has links before and links after. I think when it comes down to who you are and what you've done, the only thing that matters is your legacy. That's your final score. It doesn't matter if you had at one point, 1,000,000 points. If you die with 100 points, then your life is worth 100 points. And that is how I look at my life. I'm looking to accumulate things that my final score will be significant. One way to do that is certainly to be successful in the accumulation of things. right?
Yeah.
Because that just, the accumulation of things allows there to be leverage at your disposal. You can influence, bigger things with more capital. I mean, let's be realistic. If you are a billionaire, you will not have the problems that poverty, thrusts upon somebody. If you are a billionaire, you can go and, get the best education. You can go and help anybody on the planet. You can go do a lot of powerful things that could very easily build your legacy. But, it's not the accumulation itself that gives you any of that leverage. It's not the accumulation itself that gives you any of those final score points. This guy was a great man. Why was he a great man? He died billionaire. Well, What did he do? Well, no, he just died a billionaire. He died, he had $1 billion in the bank. So what was so fucking great about him? Sounds like a fucking moron, And this is, when you're seeing different people reach a certain point of success and they start to become philanthropists, and I'm not talking about Bill and Melinda Gates and their fucking tax haven with the fucking Gates Foundation trying to turn the world into a fucking socialist, whatever. Little side rant. I'm talking about in general, you'll find people will reach a certain point in their life where they're like, you know what? I got to give back now. I haven't been giving back. I haven't been doing anything to build, legacy. And whether they articulate that or not, I think they have this innate tendency to look at that at some point in their life. Especially, I have good friends of mine who, for whatever reasons, never had children.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I notice, with them is that there is always this, I got to do something grand. I got to do something, philanthropic. I have to do something, whether it's with charity or whether it's some sort of identity of a business, or they want to write a book, or they start thinking in terms of, what happens in the link after mine. Will the next link remember my link? And how do I create that next link if I don't have children? It's something that I think is very, very human. But the counter to that is people become also very, very distracted by things that aren't going to contribute to their final score. The guys that just look around, to bang as many chicks as possible. The guys who, men and women, the men and women who go out every weekend looking to get drunk and have a great time, every week. Like, it's a life that might be a lot of fun, but your final score is going to be next to nothing,
Yep.
I don't understand how people, live their lives past a certain phase. I think everybody had that phase where, they went out and it was about, having a good time. It was about, like, you and I never drank, I never drank because, I have a family that's just, ridden with abuse problems, with addiction problems. And very early on, I knew it was something that I didn't want to do. You're straight edge, so you don't drink.
I'm crazy enough. If I drank, I probably wouldn't be alive.
But whatever the case is, we get past that. We get past that point where, we're just trying to end every day, fucking just laughing, passed out with fucking strangers, sometimes literally, the whole thing is, at some point, I think it kicks in, programming kicks in, and it's like, oh shit, I got to start doing shit that matters. I got to start accumulating something that's going to last longer than I do, and with me, when I interact with my children every day, there's nothing more rewarding than these conversations, and I see a lot of my, Facebook friends, some of them are actually real friends, and they have the new boat, the new house, they're in some, exotic place, and, there's value in all of that. But none of that compares in any way, shape, or form to me and my experience with my children.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm hanging out with my kids, there is no boat that's fast enough. There's no, you know, a sunset that's beautiful enough. There's no gold that's gold enough. There's like nothing compares to, you know, the value of spending time with my kids to me. And I think aside from the very functional aspect of the rewarding nature of spending the time with them, I think it also speaks to, you know, who we're programmed to be and the effect that that has on what we do with our lives, you know. All right, so those were the final man codes, right? So pretty good.
Yep, for the first group.
It's the first group, the first 10. So I have, and you can see this here, I have my list. I don't know if you could see that on the.
It's a little blown out.
Right, but how does that work?
Angle it down.
Oh, I'm not even in the file. I'm looking at the other screen, not this one. Right, but I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing right now. You know what I'm talking about. I have a list here of the 10, and I'm going to add new ones every time. So sometimes I might add 2 of them. Sometimes I might add 20 of them. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, or just one.
At least there'll be at least one because it is a new segment, not a bit. All right, it's a new segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's get some feedback on those. J Ray, what's up, brother man? What's up, Beard Odinson in the house? All right, Jamie. Jamie's sending some power today. What's read this one, Pat?
The in-group is the bestower and carrier of honor, repute, of legacy. This is why Tyr risked his honor to protect his Innengard from the Fenris wolf.
Fenris wolf,
I don't know. And then paid the fine and held true to the agreement with the wolf nevertheless. And the gods rejoiced, i.e. glorified him.
Right. So when you look at whether it's, you know, the sagas of the Germanic people or, you know, the stories of other peoples from around the world throughout history, what you'll find are the personified tales of morality, of ethics, all of those virtues that, if nothing else, produce success. And I think that is at the core of it. I think with the way that people decide to tell the tales of their gods, I think the functional application for so much of it is they're telling their people the tales of how we win, how to get it right, how to survive, how to overcome.
Yeah.
And I think the functionality of that is the great motivator for me to study, you know, the wisdom of older people. And in some cases, and, you know, it's funny because there was a point in my life where I never thought I would articulate these things this way, let alone look at things this way. But sometimes you want to hear wisdom from people who weren't distracted by technology, from people who weren't distracted by, you know, the modern, you know, allure of dysfunction. You know, when you look at these fucking people in Japan who are like sticking their dicks in computers and stuff, like inventing new ways to not have to be human, you know, like, you know, I don't know where the line is, but those motherfuckers are on the other side of it. When you are putting your dick in a computer, you are fucking up. Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, fucking computers is weird.
Yeah, you know, and I don't care if it's covered by latex and it has fucking lipstick.
Did you see the new like Android they came out with? The Real Doll's coming out.
Are you asking me or telling me? Because
Real Doll, you know what a Real Doll is. You've seen that. Well, the Real Doll came out with a fucking Android version that like will talk to you and like has AI. Yeah.
Don't let that thing learn how to make me some eggs. Now we got a problem. Look, banging it, all of that, the conversation. You learn how to make a good sandwich. I don't know, man. My wife's got some competition.
That's funny.
Felix, what's up, Felix? It's one of my black belts, Chino's sons. I just got to see him at promotions this past weekend. Herman says sex bots. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do some more feedback over here. I seen another quote, and of course it's from Jamie. Jamie, man, we're gonna have to fucking put you in the credits for this episode. Jamie's sending some power. Get it, Pat.
Glory is one hell of a token. It keeps faith well. Things? What is that? I'm not up on my pronunciations. Ever shining over darkness of night, it never switches. Old English rune poem. All things?
Ethelings.
Ethelings.
I believe it's Ethelings. Glory is one hell of a token. It keeps faith well with Ethelings. Ever shining over the darkness of night, it never switches. You know, just speaking about power and virtue and...
Check. He said a warrior princess in Etheling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, so when you have a wisdom that's rooted generationally, you know it's vetted. And that's, I think, the big thing that one of the big arguments and conflicts, the points of contention with modern society, is that the way we've always done it is the application of vetted wisdom. Finding the new application for that vetted wisdom is one thing. But ignoring the wisdom for unvetted, wisdom is where I think modern society is fucking up. When you have, homosexual couples getting married. Now, them getting married, I don't give a fuck if they get married. Get married. Do what you're going to do. Throw the party. Jack Donovan, he's famously said, they don't want the marriage, they just want the wedding. Right? But whatever the case is, by all means, do you, boo-boo. The problem happens when we're then told that this is normal. We're then told that this is virtuous. We're then told that it's functional on a large scale. And that's when it's got to be, wait a minute, this isn't normal, because normal includes all of us. And you are a statistical anomaly. I believe wholeheartedly that people who are homosexual have a sexual identity that falls on the spectrum that has them become sexually attracted to their own gender. I believe that. I believe it is a natural thing. We see it reflected in nature amongst other animals. Other animals, right? Between other degenerates in nature. I think the point is we still have to stay committed to, we still have to stay loyal to function. We still have to stay loyal to the things that actually work, the vetted wisdom of our forefathers. If you look at the mentor-apprentice model, right? And if you guys haven't read Robert Greene's book, Mastery, put it on the short list and get it done. But when talking about the mentor-apprentice model, you're talking about how we make masters, how we make people who have mastered a skill, an ability. And the first thing they do as an apprentice is they sort of release themselves to the process that is constructed, controlled, and executed completely by the mentor, by old vetted wisdom. Old vetted wisdom is the one that counsels you toward mastery, towards the understanding of the mastery of certain skills. Well, if we're talking about societal wisdom, vetted wisdom of a society that has transcended generations, well, that is our mentor. If we don't ever, never mind, just listening to it, but we have to release ourselves as the apprentice does to the mentor to ever look to master that information. It's not to say that we can't build upon that so that the generation after us has even more available to them. That is the accumulation of wisdom. But we have to at least release ourselves as an apprentice to that process to make sure we are not leaving that vetted information on the shelf. I think nowadays you have people who are, for all intents and purposes, where virtue is concerned, trying to reinvent the wheel. This is virtuous. This is just because you say it doesn't make it so. Talking about the homosexual couples getting married, they have every right to be happy that everybody else does. I'm not saying otherwise. But if you have a child, would I place the child in the homosexual home or the heterosexual home? If that is the dichotomy that I'm presented, 100% of the time, it's going to be the heterosexual home. But what if the heterosexuals are abusive? I didn't add any of that to the hypothetical.
That's extra.
Right? Everything, all other things being equal, they need to go with the normal couple, not the anomaly, right? And when you have people who, not only want to be accepted, but they also want you to go along with the misrepresentation of what they are, that's where you got to draw the line, And I think when you look at old vetted wisdom, you'll find formulas for success. How do we succeed? How do we make this happen? How do we get by? And I think that's what we risk losing when we ignore that old vetted wisdom. Sophia, what's up, Sophia? She says, MC, you got a book list, recommendations. What are you currently reading? So I do. I've shared this a couple times. Let me see what I'm actually going to open up my Audible app right now and see what is on the list. Okay, so current things that I'm reading. The Thomas Sowell Reader. All right, the Thomas Sowell Reader, narrated by Dean Robertson. Or is it Robertson Dean? I think it's Robertson Dean. The Thomas Sowell Reader. I am, again, in the process of listening to Mastery, right, by Robert Greene. I just finished The Alchemist. And, these are the 5 books that are on my Audible. The Thomas Sowell Reader, The Alchemist, Mastery, Influence by Robert Cialdini. The Sicilian, again, my favorite book of all time. We were just talking about it recently, so I decided to listen to it again. And Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
So these are the books that are right there. And what I'll do is I'll listen. I have an hour and a half, 45-minute commute when I go back and forth, and that's when I bang out a lot of the reading or the listening to the books. And what I'll do is I'll listen for a little while, a couple of chapters, and maybe I'll switch it up. Or I'll say, okay, this trip I'll listen to this book. Another trip I'll listen to another book. So I tend to, listen to a bunch of books at once, mixing them up. Sometimes it's just to stay awake. You got to turn off the fucking, the audio book and put on Biggie Smalls or something. It's just,
Rumor is they're remaking Starship Troopers, and it's going to be more accurate to the book.
Yeah, and I heard that. And have you ever seen the Sci-Fi Channel's Dune?
The TV series that they made?
Yeah.
Part of it, but not enough to really make an opinion on it.
I can't find it anywhere.
It's long.
Yeah, but when you read the book Dune,
yeah,
and then you watch the movie, it's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but
his name was a killing word.
Right. But the book has so much more power in it, and I love nowadays, because technology's progressing, and the ways that people consume entertainment is becoming so diverse that there is now the capability of creating like a fucking 10-part series on Netflix or something, or Hulu.
With good effects.
With good effects, with good acting, budgets being, what they are. The model of making this stuff is becoming, I think, much more conducive to following a little bit more congruently these great books, that we have in our history. Herman says, currently reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and Germania by Tacitus. Now, I am a huge fan of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. You have, I don't know the name of it. It's a book about Seneca. I think an audio book about Seneca. I think it's Letters. I may have it here. Oh, the Tao of Seneca. Yeah, Practical Letters from a Stoic Master. Yeah, this one. Yeah, that's another good one. Talking about Stoicism and such. That's in my Audible. Oh, look, here's Meditations. It's on my Audible. What else do I have there? I'm going down the list now. To Build a Fire and Other Stories, a collection of Jack London stories. Incredible. Oh, man, I got a lot of cool books here. The Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell. He's pretty good. He knows his shit.
Weapons of Mass Instruction, John Taylor Gatto.
Nice.
Thus Spoke Zarathustra, my man Freddie.
Freddie N.
Yeah, I could just keep going down. I got a lot of fucking cool books here. A couple of them, like, oh man, I haven't listened to that in a while. All right, so
I quoted Nietzsche in the ICC. Sympathy adds misery to the world, and someone said, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's Nietzsche." And they're like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Look it up. I don't have time for this shit."
Who's that? Is he trained here?
Yeah. Yep, new guy, ICC.
All right, Jamie says Aurelius is cool, very good emperor in very hard times, and one would argue that the Stoicism that he embodied is what allowed that to happen. There's something to be said for having a mindset that accommodates the nature of reality. Like those of you that have children, have you ever thought about what would happen if your children died? Have you ever thought about what would happen if your house burned down? Have you ever thought about what would happen if you were told tomorrow that you had a disease that gave you 1 month to live, or that one of your loved ones was going to acquire a disease that gave them 1 month to live? Like, have you ever thought about these things? And I think that I have a lot of Stoic practices, and it has to do with thinking, meditating on these things. It also, there's times where, I sleep on the floor in my house. There's times where I'll make sure I'm cold overnight. There's times where I'll fast for a day or two. Just not ever becoming so emotionally attached to something that I become inseparable from it, or my identity becomes inseparable. My sense of well-being becomes inseparable. I think that we all owe it to ourselves to maintain that elusiveness, and how we can adapt to our surroundings, that no one event can define us. I have I like to say fortunate. I have the good fortune of knowing some sexual assault survivors who fall on various points of the victim spectrum. I have the women who have to go to meetings, and participate, and this event, this incredibly traumatic event, has become a component of who they are now moving forward, with no, indication that that's going to change. Then I have the woman who looks at it who talks about it like I talk about a fight that I once had.
Yeah.
yeah, the fucking piece of shit, it's all right. If I see him again, it'll be different this time. Like, just power, like it's just no big deal because they don't make it a big deal. And it's not my job to sit here and talk about which is right, which is wrong. But I think there is an argument for what is functional and what is dysfunctional. If you are one bad event away of becoming dysfunctional or sabotaging your ability to survive, well, yeah, you better stay in your fucking house. You better not do anything worth a shit. All right, you better fucking run from every bit of conflict. You better stay inside when the weather isn't perfect. You better use your antimicrobial soap to wash your hands because those doorknobs are so dirty. This is who you have to be because you're just one bad event away from becoming an entirely different person.
Yeah.
I think wasn't it in Dune where he said fear,
mind killer.
No, it wasn't that quote. It was Starship Troopers, the little deaths. The little deaths. What the fuck?
Little deaths sounds familiar. Let's look it up.
This is like your thing.
Yeah, but that movie doesn't have all the good quotes.
I'm looking it up, and the first time I put the little, and then mermaid came in. Jamie, that was Dune, he said. It was Dune. I'm still looking it up. I gotta find it.
Yeah, no, I don't know that quote.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing with the fear is the mind killer. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. When it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Fucking Frank Herbert. Just incredible. Power. It's like one of those things that you just want to get fucking tattooed on you somewhere. Like, yeah, I'm about this, motherfucker.
Fear is the little death.
But that's the thing. And, when you look at, sabotaging one's identity because of an event and how stoicism, combats that, we're just reminded how fucking, not only how tough we need to be, but just how fucking tough our ancestors were. Like, there's a time where you had to have a lot of babies because a couple of them were going to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I'm thinking about my 4 kids. If any one of them passed away, it's like, holy shit, how the fuck am I going to function? Well, I got to think about that. I talk about when I'm teaching the guys, and we're talking about violence and LOT and violence. It's like you're with your wife and 4 kids, and 2 guys with knives show up and they fucking stab one of your kids in the heart and he drops dead. Well, what do? You protect your wife and 3 kids. Like that is the functional way you approach this. I don't think that a lot of people would be able to do that, and I don't want to sit here as much as I believe that I'm going to do that, that I would do that in those circumstances. I understand that reality is a different thing, but what can we do against reality other than prepare for it to the best of our ability, right?
Yeah.
So Carlos, what's up? Carlos said, my favorite Dune quote. Absolutely.
We have an episode called Fear is the Mind Killer.
Fear is the mind killer. Yeah. Got my quotes mixed up. So what else we got going on? Sophia says, make yourself uncomfortable so you know what it feels like. And I think, when you look at some of the people these days who are completely delusional, I don't think it's a coincidence that, the super progressive liberal minds tend to be people who haven't grown up in poverty, who haven't faced any significant adversity, in those formative years of their childhood. and adolescence and such. These are people who are, intellectuals whose families, have never gone without, people who have spent a lot of time thinking and not a lot of time doing. I don't think it's a coincidence. You have these people that they think so much that they think their amount of thinking gives them the ability or is an argument for them thinking for you. Like, you can't think on your own. How much thinking have you done? I've done 10 times the units of thinking you have.
I will think for you.
I will think, therefore I will think for you. And that, I think, is the one of the big problems of these types of individuals. They don't have the deeds to vet, their ideas, to vet their virtues, and that's, I think, where you get this sort of unvetted way of looking at, what's going to make the world a better place, as if that's an actual possibility. You want to make the world a better place, go get high. For you, everything will be better.
Yeah.
Right? Go do whatever it is, whatever instant gratification that you have available to you. Go and pursue that. The world will be a great place then, right? But I don't think that's ever the argument. The argument is, let's make the world a more equitable place. Well, the more egalitarian we make things, the more dysfunctional, it becomes, because equality is nonsense. When you have people that think that how much wealth is here, how many people are there, let's just divide it. What is the precedent for that? Where have you ever seen that played out in nature, in our history? Not only where has it been successful, where have you ever even seen it? Without some idiot like you doing it, Mr. Liberal, Mr. Progressive. Like, where have you ever seen it play itself out naturally? It's never happened. Therefore unnatural, by the way. Like, the very definition of unnatural, right?
Yeah.
It would take you to do that. Yeah, so Dale says, adversity is different person to person. Well, absolutely. Not only from person to person, but day to day, minute to minute, mood to mood. There's times where, I am having a certain type of day and I'll get news from somebody or something, and my mood will change dramatically. And now, just fucking driving my car becomes a problem because I'm in such a bad mood. I want to fucking run people off the road that cut me off, or, I want to grab somebody by the neck that's honking behind me. And, so now all of a sudden adversity is thrust upon me. Why? Because I'm being emotional. Why? Because I'm allowing, information to dictate how I feel. And, obviously that's a failing formula, the exact opposite of what Stoicism, preaches and prepares you for. So I agree, adversity is different person to person, but I will say the general observation to be made is, however adversity presents itself to you, the more you engage it and the more you overcome it, the better you get at not being affected negatively by it, right? So there are some people who the weather's bad and they're staying home crying. I think you have enough bad weather days in a row, you cry a little bit less. And the next thing you know, you're not affected as significantly by something so insignificant, right?
Yeah.
Oh, little Nietzsche. Get it, Pat.
What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. What is bad? All that proceeds from weakness. What is happiness? The feeling that power increases, that a resistance is overcome. Friedrich Nietzsche, the Antichrist.
So fucking awesome. And
my man Freddie.
My man Big Fred Dog. He that sums up exactly what the pressure to power model is built on. It's how do we overcome perceived adversity, right? Sometimes there's adversity, but in this modern society, those times are few and far between. We have a lot of perceived adversities. This guy doesn't like me. It's like, so? Like, think about like matching clothes. Like one of the things we've spoken about this before. When I look at my kids and how they don't give two shits about what type of clothing they're wearing, what type of shoes they have, like as far as fashion is concerned. One of the things we do in the summer is we give them mohawks. Why do you think we do that, Pat?
I was reading the thing. What did you say?
You're such an awesome co-host.
I was looking at the comments.
I'm just talking to your face on my monitor.
I missed that last thing you said.
Never mind. I'm talking to other people. So one of the things we do, my wife and I, is we give the kids mohawks. And they love it. It's cool and all that. But one of the reasons we do it is because it's easier to check them for ticks. You know, like when they have mohawks. So
that makes sense.
Even that's very functional. So when I'm looking at, these people that get stressed out about not having good enough clothing or not fashionable enough clothing, I just look at it as idiocy, but I also acknowledge that I too was once an idiot, Beard says, make things better for your tribe. Trying to better the world, you get lost in the nameless millions. Well, yeah, it's like, you know what? When I see somebody that wants to make the world a better place, to me, they look like the guy that's trying to turn the ocean into lemonade. It's like, you're going to need a lot of lemons, Yeah. And not only are you going to need a lot of lemons, if you had all the lemons, it still might not turn to lemonade, But that is what it sounds like to me when these people talk about, I'm going to make the world a better place. You don't even know everything in the world. You don't even know, you haven't even been everywhere in the world, Like the average person, how many fucking countries have you been to? How many languages have you heard? How many realities and sort of customs and traditions have you been exposed to? But there's some people who, like that one show I was watching on Netflix, Animals, Tribes, and Me, I think it's called. It's a documentary. It's 3 episodes. One of them, they did this episode profiling this group of crocodile hunters in like Papua New Guinea. And one of the things the guy says is that they're like only 1 or 2 generations removed from cannibalism. It's like, what the fuck? Like helping these people is telling them not to eat each other. Like very easy to help them. But by the way, up until a generation or 2 ago, they would argue, nah, you're wrong. Life is getting a good neighbor to eat. Like that is what it was. So we can't even agree collectively on what good or better is because they are very much in tribe or in guard observations. What's good for the guy on the other side of the fucking planet. How dare you be so arrogant as to think you know what that is?
It's immature position. It's very immature to think that you can fix everything.
When you see the U.S. government trying to install democracies in different countries around the world, what the fuck makes you think they're interested in democracy? You realize they dress their women in ninja outfits, right? You realize like they are out of their fucking bird. You realize these people fuck goats. They have a lifestyle that you think is ready for democracy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like giving a baby a fucking, like, listen, I want you to start doing the bookkeeping for the house. Here's QuickBooks. To your fucking 1-year-old. It's like that is giving democracy to some of these civilizations. You don't have to give them democracy. You have to make them understand that beating your woman like a fucking, domesticated, sheep is not how you produce a successful society. Certainly not how you build alliances with people who are beyond that stage of development, But the whole notion of, I'm going to make the world a better place by doing this one thing. Like, there is no one thing. It is so fucking subjective, what improvement is. People are at all different rungs of the fucking ladder,
It's like giving the starving kid a gallon of ice cream. Like, here you go. He hasn't eaten any real food in years, and you give him a gallon of ice cream. Like, it's not going to do well for him.
Right. Jamie says, and I agree, you can't teach them. Good fences make good neighbors. Right? Armed society is a polite society. When you have, and this gets back to one of the man codes, it's like, yeah, be nice, but also be suspicious. Be ready to handle the situation no matter which way it can go, but also add some priority to building alliance if it's possible. But that's the whole fucking thing. Fuck that. Eating people is bad. Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that was meant to be sarcastic, or if he's trying to make a play on words there. But you have what was it? What was that book? The Road?
The Road, yeah, with the post-apocalyptic eating people.
And I guess, yeah, there's a certain point where you got to do what you got to do. But
This is what it is.
I wouldn't call it myopic. There'd be a lot of shit that would have to happen before we start eating each other. All right, sarcasm. Yes, all right. It is generally frowned upon to eat your neighbors.
Yeah.
Right?
But let's say you're on a mountain, plane crashes. Like, how soon do you eat someone? Like, how long do you wait? Do you wait 2 days, 3 days? Or you just do it right away? Because let's be as strong as we can be every day.
I'll tell you right now. Listen, I die in a crash, and you're stranded. Like, I got a lot of protein. Start with the nuts.
They're called legumes.
But it doesn't mean I think you should kill me for the protein.
That's different.
All right, so that's different. I think each tribe is going to sort itself out. Put it this way, even saying that there's a universal way to do that properly, I think is arrogant.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely somebody that, oh yeah, it is a fucking Ricardo just shared this. Unless you're Reza Aslan, he ate human brains for fun. He actually did. There was like some group he went to. They gave him some show. They since canceled it. They blamed it on one of his Donald Trump rants. I think the show was just fucking terrible, so they used it as an excuse. But during one of the episodes, apparently he ate like human brains. He was with some group that fucking ate brains, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to fucking eat brains. Because he looks like he gives people brains on the weekend.
I was waiting for that one.
Just a matter of time before you ate some.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but that's just some fucking demented shit. And that's the thing. Like, think about if you are somebody, and I think, who is it? Nick had said this earlier. Let me find it. Yeah, here it is. Their ancestors ate all the big game, best protein sources, the other tribe. There's a certain point where we look at just what's functional, and we got to take the snapshot and find out what is functional right now. How do we apply the universals to this given situation? And yeah, if you are at the point where, the only way you're going to get protein or sustenance is by eating other people, it's like, yeah, you fucked up a long time ago, bro, because that's not how we evolved, right? You've either hunted out the land and there is no more game for you to catch. You're in a situation that you shouldn't be because there are no natural resources or replenishable resources for you to nourish yourself. Or you just are following some fucking dogmatic, rule book that has you doing dysfunctional shit just to be part of the fucking club.
Yeah.
But whatever the case is, dysfunctional as fuck. Oh, all right. So Herman said, I meant the whole save the world mindset is myopic. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. That whole, sort of short-sighted approach to, I want to make the world a better place. Well, better how? You want bad guys to be good guys? You want poor guys to be rich guys? Do you want short guys to be tall guys? Do you want fat guys to be skinny guys? Do you want men to be women? Do you want women to be men? Do you want kids to be adults? Do you want adults to be kids? Like, when we start actually putting the rubber on the road, what the fuck are we talking about here? You know, you want the world to be a better place. What does that mean? Well, I want everybody to be happy. Okay, well, there's some people who are happy when they're killing Christians. There's some people who are happy when they're balls deep in a 4-year-old. There's some people that are happy, when they're fucking 4 pints, into a bender that's going to leave them driving their fucking car off the fucking road in a couple hours. Like, what are we talking about? Happiness. What is happiness? It's fucking retarded. It's so childish.
Yeah. Immature. It's immature.
Right. It's immature. Yeah. And I think that is a good, a good philosophy to have, or at least a good observation to make. We shouldn't always be happy. If we're always happy, something's wrong, because the universe is out to get us, right? The universe is, put it this way, the universe is not here to ensure our survival. The universe is indifferent to our struggles. The universe doesn't care about whether we live, die, are happy, sad. And it's important that we remember that. And I think the more we remember that, the more valuable we hold those instances where everything is moving in our direction. But understand there's a certain point where you're not dealing with reality if you're never facing adversity. We know that one of the major principles that we operate on is use it or lose it, right? And resilience is a component of that. Anti-fragility is a component of that. If you aren't used to exercising, right, and you go to fucking run down the block, you're going to have a problem. There was a time where I ran a 40-yard dash, which is fast as fuck. And now I'd run probably 20 yards and my hamstring will pop, because I stopped doing that. One of my black belts, Chris.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man, Chris. He just showed up. He had just done a bodybuilding show like last week or 2 weeks ago, and was dying to get back to training. And he came in and he trained, and he was telling me his fucking knee was killing him. His body was sore as shit. And the whole thing is, it's not even that he wasn't being physically active, because, he just did a bodybuilding show and looked like a fucking superhero during it. But he stopped doing the movements that grappling requires you to do. So without doing those movements, or without reminding his body that he needed to do those movements, he lost the ability to do those movements. I just last night I was training, and I just started training. I'm trying to train a little bit more regularly now. And one of the things I've been wearing is a compression shirt when I'm rolling, because I need the extra stability that those compression shirts sort of not only give the muscles of my midsection and my core, but also it stops my body from panicking. So last night I rolled, I didn't wear a compression shirt, and I wound up pulling fucking one of my abdominal muscles, while grappling, because my body's just not used to moving that way. Now, mind you, without this injury, I'll go and squat 600 pounds right now. So it's not that I'm not physically capable. It's that, without doing those things, your body stops investing in your ability to do it, But that is just a microcosm, a representation of what, we could speak about on a much grander scale, We are just an empty flute, and the universe will play whatever melody it wants through us. Right. So I agree. Maybe it's my homophobia. I don't really like that analogy too much, but I agree with its logic.
That's funny. We talk about flute.
I'm a flute, play me. All right. What else? Did I miss any other things that I should be addressing? All right. I don't know. Let's do an algorithm check. I gotta go back so I can see it.
Get some rhythm.
Let's get some rhythm. That's awesome.
People going wild.
That's pretty awesome. How come no gay rainbows?
There's a few before, but I haven't seen it in a while.
So is that how you get the gay rainbows?
That's what they said on here. I believe them. Go like the gay page and you have a gay rainbow.
We should have something that we fucking get if you like my page.
Like a fucking
axe or something.
Like a dong. No. It's a joke. Like a big dick. That'd be funny.
It should be instead of the rainbow on the gay page.
Yeah. Someone said they should have a butthole one, but I don't know. That's
just a fucking chocolate starfish. Right?
No, the beard fucking the beard fucking face from the Warrior Project. That would be a cool one.
The beard fucking face. I don't even know what that means.
The fucking Warrior Project logo would be a cool one.
You know what I mean.
Who has a beard fucking face? This is my beard fucking face.
Holy shit. That's hysterical. Oh, man. All right. I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You guys are awesome. All right, guys. Let's call it a day. We've actually had a pretty good fucking show. Like, we didn't blank out or anything, right?
Yeah, no issues technically. You were solid.
Oh, fuck, man.
No
time.
audio.
All right, good. It's all good. All right, you guys are awesome. We're going to head out. I appreciate you guys. ThePressureProject.com is our website. Info@ThePressureProject.com is our contact email. TheWarriorProject.com. Got our shirts here. All right. WarriorProject.com is our membership site. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. It's $47 a month, and there's a shit ton of content there and interaction you have with us behind the scenes. If you are a member, many of the people on right now can attest to that. Now, a couple other things. If you are not on the Master Chim letter list yet, go to masterchim.com, put your email in. I send out at least one email every morning. A lot of days, I send out a couple of different emails, and they're not all sales pitches. I talk about the Warrior Project, which is my membership site, but I put a lot of time into them. I add a lot of power, and the feedback I've been getting is inspiring me to do it even more. So it's definitely working out, and it's completely free. And you can find that at masterchim.com, and it's the Master Chim letter. All right, guys, we're signing off. You guys are awesome. Thanks again. Any last words, Pat?
I'm good.
All right. And that's it. We'll see you next time. And as always, brothers and sisters, pressure to power.